If you desperately want to see the gameplay and then my thoughts on the good and the bad that came with this alpha playtest, then skip to this timestamp right here. It'll bring you right to the gameplay and you can skip my little spiel at the beginning here. But hold on a second, because this is very important. I was going to stream today. Right now, I should be about in the middle of my stream. And instead, I have taken the time to write out a little bit of my thoughts and also sit down and record this video to post it, because I was recently a part of the SYNCED alpha playtest. I managed to log about 2.5 hours of playtime today, and there was about 4 hours total, I believe, that creators were able to get in with their creator codes as a part of an exclusive event for people that were given codes, specifically content creators. Now, at the beginning of the day, there was actually a problem. For about an hour, hour and a half of the time, I was not able to get in, along with a lot of the other people that were on the NA server. There's an issue with after you got past the main menu, you'd go to a black screen, and it wasn't that big a deal. It's an alpha playtest. That's kind of something you expect to happen. And they were able to iron it out and get us into games fairly quickly, I would say. The problem with this, though, is the fact that there were influencers in the developers Discord, and the entire reason that I'm even making this video when I'm making it rather than giving it a little bit of time to stew, I was going to play over the long weekend during the open beta to get some footage of PvP, because today during the alpha playtest, there was not actually PvP on North American servers. You were playing against AI. But instead of waiting to get that footage, I wanted to get some of this content out now, because there were so many influencers that were just being absolutely disgustingly disrespectful and rude to the developers. And let me just be very clear when I say this. I am the first person to say that a developer is bad. I have gone through my fair share of garbage video games that aren't worth your time, your money, or even a second thought. I absolutely call them out. The more time passes, the more I'm thankful I've done this video. If you ever really do have any doubt about whether or not I've actually called them out in the past before, I will direct you to this video right here, where I spent 48 minutes railing against the developer that gave me a game for free because it was one of the most uninspired pieces of garbage I have ever played. Now, to be fair, there were some issues getting into the game at the start of the playtest. However, the developers fixed it pretty fast, and they were very clear with all of the content creators involved in their Discord throughout the entire wait time. And this is one of the things that really bugged me, is that some of these influencers, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, I barely have 200 subs on YouTube myself, but one of these people didn't stream on Twitch and had 10 subs on YouTube. I don't even know how they qualified for the content creator program. This very same person was saying that the devs should apologize personally, and that they've ruined his day, and that they are just trying to scam North American players because the time zones didn't really work out, and then all the European players were able to play when we weren't. Here's the problem. Everybody that was complaining, minus a few people that were actually pretty level-headed, were acting like the people you would imagine would scream at their mom that dinner isn't ready. They were a bunch of entitled, insolent little children. And while sometimes I do think it's worthwhile to voice your opinion and criticism to developers because they're doing an awful job of what they're doing, I don't think the dev team was doing particularly bad at all. They all signed up for an exclusive playtest alpha. It is meant to solve things like this before they open it up to a larger audience. You knew what you were signing up for. We're the guinea pigs. That's fine. We get exclusive access and exclusive coverage before everybody else gets their hands on it. That's kind of a fair trade if you ask me. I'm not going to pull up the exact messages and go point by point through them. Just know that what was being said to these developers was fairly gross. It gave me the same vibe as watching a Karen scream at a retail employee. It was not cool. I want to give a quick shout out to Eris in the Discord for SYNCED. It was one of the PR team, and I think that they did a really good job handling all of the people that were just baby raging at them endlessly and without any kind of reason, really. I get it. It's frustrating not being able to play the game, and maybe you might have missed out on a little bit of early access coverage. However, I do think that it went way, way beyond a normal complaint should. and you were just being a dick. The main reason that I'm pushing this video out now and I canceled my stream today is because I don't want the only YouTube coverage that this game gets to be from these absolute chuds. These cucks. They don't deserve the numbers, and I'm hoping I can beat them to the punch so that they don't actually get anything from this. I don't want them to be rewarded in any way for their behavior. So that brings us to the fun part of this video, which is actually looking at the gameplay. This is a really cool game, and while I think there are definitely some things that need some tweaking, this is an alpha playtest. There is going to be a big difference, I would imagine, between now and full release. It managed to keep me engaged pretty much the entire time, even though I was just playing against bots. And that's actually kind of impressive. So without further ado, I am Not Absolutely Sure, and this is Not a Real Review. So my face isn't going to be in this part because I want you to see as much gameplay as possible without making this like a 50-minute video. Now, before I even get into any of the PvP action, I want to mention that there's going to be a full PvE mode, which is actually really exciting because the little tutorial that they had me play where you were playing kind of a single player mode, if I can do that with other people in a cooperative setting, that is going to be so much fun. It reminded me a lot of The Division and The Division 2, and that's a very good thing. The PvE modes in those games were actually a lot of fun. It also means that the devs can just keep pumping content into the PvE mode. Different challenge modes, different objectives, and one of the things I want to mention as feedback for the developers, because I imagine that this is going to be some of the only feedback they get where someone isn't screaming at them, is that I would love to see the progress for the guns and the perks and stuff like that carry over from the PvE mode into the PvP mode. So if I want to level up a DMR or something like that, I can hop into the PvE mode, level it up, and then go back to PvP with a better weapon. As far as the PvP mode goes, this is a battle royale where your goal is to capture as many neutral objectives as possible. You have to earn this blue currency called Nerva, and whoever has the most at the end of the game wins. Now, there's another way to win, which is to wipe out every other player on the map. I will say there should probably be another way to earn Nerva besides whoever wins at the main objectives and player kills. Something minuscule like 1 Nerva every 3 mob kills or something like that. The reason for this is because I don't think it's entirely possible for a team to come back and actually win without actually eliminating the top team. While I do think this could be fair if a top team is really just dominating and getting all of the neutral objectives, it would be nice to make the game a little bit more competitive if there was other options and other avenues for you to earn Nerva. One of the core mechanics of this game is that there are these neutral monsters, almost like dogs or spiders. I forget what they are in Apex, but where you can open them up and they come at you and then you get to shoot them and drop loot. The same principle happens with these. You are able to power up and get your own nanos, which are basically kind of like stands from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. There's 4 different archetypes right now and 4 different main characters as well. Each of the characters has a different specialized weapon as well as different abilities that complement their playstyle. When it comes to the nanos, I think one of the big points in this game is that there are a couple different currencies and you can upgrade different aspects of your player. You can upgrade your character's perks, so you like reload faster or you get health off of kills, stuff like that. But also you can upgrade your guns and your nanos. You can buy perk cards for your nanos, which are these big stand things from JoJo's. Now, the biggest problem that I experienced as far as these stands go is that they didn't really make it clear what a lot of these different things did. When I was buying upgrades, I didn't really know what I was getting. I was kind of just picking random stuff, except for when they allowed me a gun upgrade, which I always bought. This leads me to one of the other things that I think could be very beneficial for this game, which is an in-game wiki with all of the different mechanics explained in full detail. One thing that I had a problem with in the game was that I didn't really know how to deal with downed enemies. When you do down a person, there is also this yellow health bar that appears, and they still have a pistol and can shoot back until you wipe out that health bar as well. Then they're kind of available for their team to pick up. There's no way to snipe them completely out of existence. You have to go over and execute them. Now, if you don't execute them, they are available to be revived by their team until their timer runs out. I actually do like this mechanic. It means that you have to completely deal with a team before you can actually go and wipe them out. However, I will say that it was not exactly clearly communicated. It was something I got through trial and error after a couple of different games. Now, one of the other bigger problems that I did have with this version of the game is that the movement options and generally the map felt a little bit lacking. It's not that the map doesn't look good. The game actually does look pretty good overall, although performance is kind of iffy on lower end rigs. I did have a problem with how much time I spent slowly sprinting from one area to the next. That's just a problem you're going to have in every battle royale, and I don't know if that's entirely a problem that Synced should take seriously, because it just kind of exists in these giant maps where the player base is spread out. However, I will say that the movement options are kind of stiff. The animations all look pretty good, but the dodge roll feels almost useless, and the vaulting animations go really, really slowly. Feels like positioning in this game matters than almost every other game, because you don't really have a lot of escape movement. Now, here comes one of the biggest positives of this game, and I think this is honestly one of the best parts of the game, is that, again, this feels kind of like the Division's combat, which is a very good thing. The shooting in this game felt extremely good, and while there was a little bit of hit detection issues, I think that was more of a ping problem than a game problem. Popping heads with all the different guns was really fun, and it really didn't feel like any of the guns were particularly crazy, although I will say one thing. So the DMR was the weapon that I had the most fun with. And for those of you who don't know guns, a DMR is a designated marksman rifle. It's meant to be a kind of pseudo sniper rifle where it has semi-automatic capabilities, but it also is accurate enough to shoot at longer range. Now in the game, the DMR is categorized under the same category as the sniper rifle, and they treat it the same when it comes to ammo. Now the sniper rifles are mostly bolt action and do a lot more damage than the DMR, so they should get less ammo, and I think that the ammo pool of the DMR should kind of sit in a separate category in between the absolute abundance of ammo you get for the ARs and the kind of minuscule amount you get with the sniper rifles. Now, when it comes to actually capturing these different points, there are a couple of different options you have. One of the neutral objectives is that you can attack these monsters, these mobs that are kind of spawned around, and there are these giant crystals that show up and you have to attack them, and it's honestly a really big ammo commitment. That was one of the biggest problems that I had as far as playing the game goes, and not necessarily a bad thing. It was just ammo commitment. How much ammo do I really want to spend on these mob characters? How much ammo do I want to spend on all this other stuff? Because when it comes down to it, if you run out of ammo in the middle of a fight, you are kind of screwed. It's not exactly easy to get back ammo without getting kills. Now, ignoring the crystals, the main objectives are these harvesters. There's about 3 drop zones and 3 different harvesters that appear over the course of a match. Your goal is to go over to them, claim them, and basically play King of the Hill. You have to hold down the positions for 3 minutes. At the end of those 3 minutes, if you've held it for the entire time, then you get turned into an invincible mode and teleported to safety so that you get extra points. It gives you a ton of Nerva, and this is the main way that you want to earn Nerva in the game. It also gives a nice point on the map for everybody to kind of run in the same direction to promote player contact and player skirmishes. I will say that playing against the AI was a little bit lackluster as far as combat density. It felt like when I was holding these points, we were just kind of sitting there for almost a full minute at a time sometimes. In my last match of the day before the servers booted us off, I played solo, and I managed to hold off 3 different teams of 3 by myself, and then after I shot them all and got away from them, well, it was just kind of waiting around for 2 minutes. None of the neutral mobs aggroed onto me, and I was just kind of sitting there waiting for something to show up. Now, the really exciting part of this video is where I get to tell you about the PvE mode. Now, for the creator-exclusive playtest, everything in the game was unlocked. This means guns, skins, perks, everything that you would want to see as far as the game goes were all unlocked for us. And I think one of the really cool things about this game is going to be those progression unlock systems. I'm really excited to finally have a game where I can play and earn things again. One of the best parts about those old Call of Duty games is that you could level up and get different things and upgrade your character. There was a nice sense of player progression, and sometimes some of the best stuff was early on, but at the same time, it was really nice to feel like you were actually earning stuff, earning skins, earning attachments, earning perks, and there was just a great sense of progression. I'm really hoping that they do something similar with this game, because that is the addicting gameplay loop that you want for a multiplayer game. So to finish, I really enjoyed my time with this game, and despite what the baby ragers in their Discord might say, I think there's a really good chance that this actually takes off. That's why I'm making this video. I want this game to succeed, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do in the coming months. Here's just a friendly reminder that you should treat everybody respectfully, even if you are upset with them, especially someone like a game developer that owes you nothing. That is all that I have to say to you guys about this game, and I really appreciate you watching. Hopefully this catches the algorithm right and squashes all of the content from those people that were just being absolute douchebags to the developers. If you are interested in playing this game, I should mention that on the 21st through the 25th of July 2022, there's going to be an open beta. I would highly recommend hop in there, get a bunch of playtime in, see how you like it, and keep an eye out because the PvE mode I think is going to be very fun. There is even an Aim Labs version of the game where you get to go in and test and go for high scores and stuff like that. There's a lot of corners in this game that have not yet been shown off, and I really think that the devs have done a good job setting up the basis for what should be a very fun game in the future. That being said, thank you so much for watching. I am Not Absolutely Sure, and this was Not a Real Review.